Hey nerds, and welcome to Flash, Theories and Conspiracies. I'm Brian from Good Nerd, Bad Nerd. This week on Flash, we got upgrades. We got lots of upgrades. So, first, starting off, it didn't really click with me last week, but you really got to see it this week. Star Labs has had a pretty nice makeover in their little control center. They've got, a much nicer touchscreen display set up. So they spent a lot of money setting up that room to make it, really nice. No idea where that money's coming from. That's still one of those don't ask about that. But the other thing is we finally got to see some of the upgrades to Barry's new suit. And Cisco basically made Barry an Iron Man suit in all of its insanity. Repulsor beams in the hands. It's got a self-destruct, that inflating thing. It's some of the stuff in there is just as bonkers as stuff that Iron Man has put in his suit. I mean, Iron Man put roller skates in his suit at one point, but the suit upgrades were ridiculous. I did like Cisco trying to defend himself on why he put a lot of that stuff in there, but it was just kind of ridiculous. And he shot Wally. Poor Wally. Wally, I like how Wally's looking. The new haircut, the new style. I think we're going to see some good things from Wally this season. Barry had a lot of growth this episode. Obviously, he started off. A lot of this episode was about the communications him and Iris were having, and they've always had communication issues. The show can't get past those communication issues because they need that drama. And it's just, yeah. Part of that, and this is another thing about where all of the money for Star Labs is coming from, is does Iris now work at Star Labs? Has she given up the reporting thing? It's not totally clear. They imply that she's working there full time. She's even walking around with a big gun, but all of that to say, the relation stuff there, it's gonna keep continuing. Cisco, on the other hand, him and Gypsy are great. Everything about them I love. They're so good. I love their relationship, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of them, especially having Gypsy on the show more often, because she's a great character. Moving along, the big villain for the week, Kilgore. Now, Kilgore is this character that is nothing like the comics, and that's fine, because the character in the comics is like a cybernetic space entity that feeds off of energy. And so it essentially crashes on Earth somehow out in Utah. And it's trying to take over the planet by absorbing all of the energy. And it actually threatens everyone in North America and gave them an ultimatum to clear out of the country because it was taking over North America. And the way they stop it is they basically shut off all power in the world at once. And then Barry, I think it was Barry, maybe it was Wally, but the Kilgore gets defeated in a race because he's turned into a giant snake. So he's a strange character. He does come back a few times, but all in all, nothing like the character we saw. So that's Kilgore. Kilgore looks a lot more like a Terminator or some sort of giant robot than he does as a human who's got his DNA that kind of spliced with technology. Moving on to the Thinker and the Mechanic. So the Mechanic, I told you I would talk more about the Mechanic this week, give you details from the comics about who this character is. And here's the thing. Unless somebody else out there knows more than I do, we don't know anything about the Mechanic. There's a few characters out there who may or may not have a name that's like the Mechanic. There's one guy definitely called the Mechanic from the comic Squire and Knight, but we don't know anything about him besides he's male and British and does equipment type stuff. So that's a very difficult thing to try and figure out who this character is. It's very likely they just wanted a character to use. They like that name. It worked well with the Thinker, so you have the Thinker and then the person who builds it. And then they just made up a character to go with that name. I think that's the most likely, but as far as from the comics, I can't figure out anything, so let me know if you did. Then the last thing, and this is kind of geared towards what is the Thinker's big plan. We know he's trying to round up others, so what is he doing? What's his goal? I think his goal is to put together some sort of injustice society. Last week, you remember I said he was a part of that team. He had helped that team by taking over the Justice League's headquarters when he became a completely artificial intelligence. And it's very possible we'll see something like that. Star Labs is completely teched out. It's very possible that the Thinker will take over the base, use it against them. I am absolutely certain he knows who Barry is. He knows that Barry is the Flash. I think that if he doesn't know that, that's going to be a really, really hard to swallow. But I think he is trying to form an injustice society to take on Flash and maybe Arrow and a lot of the other heroes that have been popping up. But we don't know why exactly, and that's going to be the big reveal, I think. Is it just to take over the city? Is it just to be some crime boss, or is there a greater purpose here? And that's kind of what we're going to find out. But I do think he is forming an injustice society. The key is what characters, because he's been on a couple different versions, a lot of Golden Age versions, and then obviously some of the kind of the New Earth versions of the character as well. So what did you think of this episode? What did you think of Kilgore as an app designer who just got magic tech powers? And what do you think the Thinker's actual plan is? So leave your comments down below. Don't forget to check out my other theories, and make sure to hit up the blog at goodnerdbadnerd.com. So until next week, guys, I'm Brian from Good Nerd Bad Nerd, and this has been Flash, Theories, and Conspiracies.